I find it quite useful to put together a bunch of stuff at the beginning of the week and then break it down into smaller segments. So for the purposes of YouTube, I can go for a longer form, which might be 5 to 10 minutes long. And then I can revisit the material afterwards, shoot it while I'm driving my car or whatever, or walking around with my gimbal. And so there are 4 main areas that I'd like to discuss with you in this YouTube shot. One of them is the 4 C's of growth. The second one is how confidence is a skill, not a tendency. Another area I'd like to touch on is how to stop overthinking and start acting. And going forward from there, I'd like to suggest that we put some focus onto the successes in life instead of dwelling on our failures. So, going forward, the 4 C's of growth. The 4 C's of growth are clarity, courage, commitment, and one I've added myself, compounding. What I mean by that is that recently I started thinking about what I was going to do with my business. And despite all of the advice from all of the very many sources, I realized I was just free falling. So I think clarity is the process of getting some kind of vision statements together, getting some kind of goals written down, getting some kind of idea of where you're going with this. If you're looking at marketing, it could be giving yourself a personal statement, like an elevator pitch type thing. Get yourself into a situation where you can express what it is you want to achieve in one sentence, or who you wish to serve in one sentence. So, for example, I might say, I wish to serve 40 plus men who are struggling to find relevance by providing them with the specific tools they need for growth. The advantage of having this kind of clarity is that you never need be caught with your thumb up your ass if somebody asks you on the spot what it is you want to achieve. And the same applies to other areas of life, whether it be in relationships, in your health, in your wealth, any of the areas of life, any goals that you have. Get clarity and get into the habit of being able to express in one sentence what it is you wish to achieve. Ask yourself, what do I need? What do I want to achieve in my health, in my wealth, in my relationships? What are my goals? And courage. Now, courage is an interesting one because people think that, like a lot of qualities that we tend to own, that courage can be found under a rock or something. Well, it's not true. Courage is like a lot of things. It's a skill. It's this tendency which has to be worked upon. Somebody who lives a life of quiet desperation or in a life of trapped comfort never has to experience courage. But if you think about the courage required to do public speaking, or the courage required to throw yourself out of an aeroplane with a parachute on, I hasten to add, that might be less courage required for some people than for some people to go out into a busy high street and use a cash point. So for some people, it might take a lot of courage to use an ATM. And for some people, it might take a lot of courage to speak in public. For some people, it might take a lot of courage to sit in front of their phone like I'm doing and get themselves filmed. Where I'm going with this is that courage is a relative concept. So in that case, find out where your comfort zone is and find out where you need to apply courage. You don't have to throw yourself out of an airplane. You don't have to do anything monumental or massive to show courage. But by showing a little bit of courage, you can improve and you can develop your courage muscle, for want of a better word. But this, of course, requires the third C, which is commitment. And commitment is another word which can be a bit of a trap, because having commitment can feel great while you're writing it down. But the real The real commitment is in the ability to stick at things. The stickability, that's where real commitment lies. Dedicating yourself to doing those acts that you need to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. What a lot of people fail to appreciate about commitment is that it's not an either-or situation. Commitment requires to be tested in order to prove itself. So if you've made a commitment to do something and you lapse or you relapse, that lapse or relapse is part of what makes the commitment what it is. If you could just decide to do something and just go through with it without any qualms, worries, obstacles, barriers, or setbacks whatsoever, that's not commitment, is it? That's just getting on with things ho-hum. Real commitment requires that you face challenges and that you overcome those challenges. Now, how do you overcome those challenges? Well, you overcome those challenges mainly by not folding the first time that you lapse. A lot of people make commitments, they make a mistake, they lapse, and they turn their back on their commitment. Well, true commitment is being able to fall over and get yourself up again. Imagine if toddlers thought like adults, and the first time a toddler fell over and bumped his knee or his head while trying to learn how to walk, if that toddler thought like an adult does, or many adults, probably just lie down and crawl for the rest of its life. No, true commitment is the ability to withstand blows, to regroup, and to get yourself back on track. And the fourth C is compound. Now, compounding is the actions that you can dedicate on a long-term basis. And they are the small actions that can improve your outlook, improve your resilience, improve your ability to grow. So if you take one small act, like a morning routine, and you apply it for 66 days, shall we say, it could be that by the time you've formed that as a habit, you're now in a position to compound another small habit on top. So a lot of personal development and self-help does focus on the grand, big, showy achievements of life. And it tells stories about how people achieved grand, showy, big things. But actually, if you look behind the curtain of most, if not all, of the people who succeed in any venture, it is because they have compounded their knowledge growth and compounded their skills by engaging in lots of small actions which enable them to grow and to become more capable. So there's the 4 C's of growth: clarity, know what it is you want, be able to express it; courage, realize that courage is different for everybody, face your challenges and overcome them; commitment, which is something whereby you pledge to continue despite the fact that you will have setbacks; and compounding, which is the payoff that you get when you do lots of small acts in a consistent manner. The next thing that I'd like to talk about is about confidence as a skill. Confidence is a skill, not a feeling. And many of the 4 C's that I've described are going to assist you to develop your confidence. Confidence is that feeling you get when you've managed to push yourself beyond your own comfort zone by engaging in actions which might have felt difficult or challenging to you. The thing about confidence is that it's something which has to be grown. A lot of people consider confidence to be a human attribute which is given to a person at birth. No, it's not the case. Some people may seem effortlessly confident, and I envy those people. But even those people work on their confidence. Whether they know they're doing it or not is another issue. If you want to gain in confidence, you're going to have to learn how to push yourself a little bit, take positive actions, practice and repeat, and thereby compound your confidence. So just like the challenges you might face, if your challenge is to go up to somebody at a party and greet them, well, taking those first steps towards doing that and achieving that is going to increase your confidence. It's going to increase your likelihood of repeating. And as a consequence of that, it's going to improve your ability to compound and build on the confidence that you're achieving. So have a think about what it is that challenges you. I can give you an example from real life, which is I want to set up a webinar, and I just keep putting it off. And I keep putting off setting up my webinar in the same way that I kept putting off sitting in front of my phone and talking and then putting my stuff out on YouTube. Simply lacked confidence. The way that I got over it was to force myself on one auspicious day to just get on with it and do it. And there have been many things over the last couple of years that I've taken on as new skills, which I now do pretty much without thinking, effortlessly. But prior to that, those skills or that skill deficit was like the Grand Canyon to me. So practice, repeat, compound. Work on your confidence as a skill, not as a feeling. And one way to achieve that is to get out of the habit of overthinking things. Overthinking is a great way to procrastinate. It's a great way for you to excuse lack of action because you're planning it. Oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I've just got to get this part right. Oh, if only everything was correct and right and all the elements were in place, then I could start doing this grand scheme thing. Well, the fact is that overthinking tends to stall your momentum. And you've got to ask yourself, what are you waiting for? What is it that's stopping you from getting on with things and taking the actions that you require? Mentors wiser than myself have recommended that you take imperfect action. I'm a big believer in the idea of imperfect action. Imperfect action is the process of getting something done 2/3 of the way, 1/3 of the way, 1/5 of the way. It's just the process of kickstarting change by changing the conditions and changing your mentality about things, by just doing something imperfect or small towards your goal. So, if you are prone to overthinking, it means that you're prone to thinking. So what we have there is a situation. You think, you tend to think, you tend to overthink. The consistent element about you is that you think. So, the best way to overcome overthinking is to do something and then give yourself something better to think about. So take action. Success loves speed. Success loves activity. And success loves it when you do something towards your goals. Gives you a feel-good feeling. A feel-good feeling. That's what it gives you. And it's an antidote to the overthinking malaise. Finally, I suggested at the intro that we put our focus onto success. So one way that you can put an emphasis onto success rather than dwell on failure. And don't worry, there are plenty of hours in the day to dwell on failure. I find usually in the middle of the night. But instead of dwelling on failure, you have to replace that with a different kind of habit, a different setup. So when you're feeling down and when you're feeling like things are not working for you, I'd like you to describe to yourself all of the things that you have achieved. And when you describe to yourself all the things that you have achieved, once you start to realize that you have achieved a large number of successes, reverse engineer the process and go back through time and work out what it was that you did in order to achieve those kinds of success. So place your focus on how success works and operates and how you can repeat the process. You've got to be thinking about something. So wouldn't it be better to be thinking about how to succeed rather than how to fail? So put your focus on success, compound your wins, work your confidence, and think in terms of compounding. That's my rant for today. And I've gone way over 10 minutes. I'm into the 16 minutes area now. So I wish you all the best. Peace out, and look forward to seeing you